Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Mindset Elevation Coach Linda Joy, and I have a question for you. Have you been yearning for sacred community? I don't know about you, but now more than ever, I feel called to gather in sacred circle for connection, community, and transformation. If your soul is shouting, yes, I'm yearning for that too, I invite you to come together for live circles twice a month with other women on the path of self-discovery. And you'll also have access to a transformational curriculum of over 50 classes taught by leading visionaries. And you'll feel right at home on the soul-nourishing virtual campus of Inspired Living University. Listen, the doors only open a couple times a year, so get on the wait list at inspiredlivinguniversity.com. I look forward to circling up with you, my friend. And I got to tell you, I'm so excited about today's show because one of my old friends is joining me, Leigh Mercree, and I got to tell you, she's a magical mama. So Amy is a medical intuitive and best-selling author of, are you ready for this? 18 books, journals, card decks, and she's a media personality, holistic health expert, and mystic teacher. She instructs internationally, sharing Meet Your Goddess guides, Ancestral and Karmic Shamanism, and the Atomic Healing Method, medical intuitive certification. And today we're going to be talking about her most recent book, Aura Alchemy, Learn to Sense Energy Fields, Interpret the Color Spectrum, and Manifest Success. I am so happy that you're here with me today, Amy.
I'm so happy to be here, Linda. It's so awesome to talk to you and get to connect with your community.
Well, you and I have known each other a long time, and you have so many books. And just to give people a little bit of what you are known for, the love and inspiration and tools that you spread around the world, some of your books are the Chakras and Crystals Cookbook, Juices, Smoothies, Sorbets, Salads, and Crystal Infusions to Empower Your Energy Centers, The Healing Home, your room-by-room guide to positive vibes, Blissful Baths, 40 Rituals for Self-Care and Relaxation. Just the titles make me want to be like, ah.
Me too. And you said blissful baths. I was like, I need to take a blissful bath tonight.
Oh, yes, especially we're entering the big super full moon window at the time of this taping, so it's a perfect time for a bath.
Yes.
So one of the questions, I think, we're going to talk about aura alchemy and talk about the whole topic of aura and energy. But let's start, for those who may be listening who don't have a full understanding of what an aura is, how would you describe it?
I describe an aura as a biologically generated electromagnetic field that surrounds all living things, that's made of subatomic particles called photons, which also comprise light and electricity. So what that means is it is the field, the electromagnetic field around our body, which we naturally create and all living things have. That's actually our aura.
And do you see auras? Because as a medical intuitive, is that how you process what you're receiving?
I see everything from auras to the way the energy of the body moves through not only the physical body, but the aura or a bubble around it, biofield around it. So I see all of it as connected. And since I was a child, I've had what I used to call my atomic vision. So I would see it down to subatomic particles. I didn't really realize what it was back then. So I do, but I don't see the aura as this separate field. I see it as an intrinsic part of our own being and the light that moves through our body. These particles called photons that are just light, that's all they are. What comes from the sun, that is the light that we end up seeing when it bounces off of matter, is just photons. These move through our body. They're the electrical impulses that make us think, that make us move our muscles, that make us breathe. Everything that happens in our body is a result of photons. And photons are really neat because they're light, but they're also electromagnetic force. They're both. So when we take electricity and run it through an uninsulated copper wire, the electricity that powers our light bulbs and stuff like that is comprised of electrons and photons. And when we do run it through an uninsulated copper wire, the amazing thing is the electrons travel along the wire, the photons travel outside of the wire because they are a field. So that is what is happening through all our nerve fibers, our muscle fibers, everything. We're generating all these little tiny fields that create a larger composite field. So I see, feel, sense, get information, intuition, hear everything about all of it.
I've always been enthralled with it. So my next question goes to, does everyone have, well, we know everything has an aura, but do we all have the capacity to see an aura?
I think we do. I think we all have the capacity to receive all kinds of intuitive information. Now, when Jimi Hendrix was a baby, if we gave him a guitar, he probably could pick it up and play it because it was probably a natural talent. So if I tried to play the guitar, and even as an adult, I would need a lot of lessons. So I do think, certain people may have different propensities, but I think with intuition and, that includes the clairvoyant side, the seeing of the aura, the sensing of the aura, the knowing about the aura, the hearing the sound of the aura, the smelling and tasting of the aura, all of that. The kinesthetic sense of being able to feel energy with the hands and the skin of the body. I think we all have all of those abilities, and there are things that we can do to learn those, amp those up, turn the volume up on those. Absolutely. But yes, everybody has that ability, in my opinion.
I love that. And I have a personal question. Can a building have an aura? And then I'll explain why I'm asking that.
It's a great question. So, does the building have a biologically generated electromagnetic field? Maybe insofar as the beings, like animals, plants, even like, bacteria and fungi and stuff like that within the building, those have a biologically generated electromagnetic field. And then we also have this idea of, so native EMFs would be biologically generated. Non-native EMFs are the ones that which stands for electromagnetic fields, are the ones that we talk about in terms of our health. Like non-native EMFs, like things from our cell phones, can be damaging to our cells because they're so much stronger, hundreds of times stronger than a biologically generated field. So buildings have a probably somewhat native aura from the living things in and around houseplants, landscaping, whatever. And then perhaps a non-native aura from their, Wi-Fi and all their electronics, the, electricity moving through the walls. So fields, absolutely. I also, as a medical intuitive, and also I work with, Healing Home, that book that I wrote, and so working with the holistic side of homes. I also work with what I call spirits of place. So typically, I think buildings and certain pieces of land, all pieces of land, different spots on Earth, have non-physical beings associated, whether they're like the deva of the area and it's a land-based thing, or the beings that help hold the space in, let's say, a library or, a Buddhist temple or things like that. And even in our own homes, we have non-physical beings that steward the energy of the home or the place in most cases. So it's a long answer, but yes.
Well, I'll share the reason I asked.
Yeah.
three of the lowest times in my life. One was about, let's see, my daughter's 40, so it was about 34 years ago. I was in a very low emotional, spiritual place, debating whether to be here in this world. And I was driving down a highway, shouldn't have been driving because I was sobbing so hard. And I suddenly saw on the side of the road this Victorian home that was glowing with a blue aura, sparkling movement. And Amy, I pulled in, walked
Beautiful.
up the front stairs, didn't know where I was, and had to choose between three doors. I chose the door on the left and sat down on a sofa there. And a woman walked in from a separate door. And she said, I said to her, if you make me leave, I won't make it through the night. Now, here's the catch.
Aw.
She looked at me, um, and I was in deep despair. Her
Mhm.
specialty was behavioral child psychologist for childhood trauma, which is exactly what
Wow.
I was dealing with. So
Wow,
I've
Linda.
always wondered, did the building have, and it's happened to me three times,
Right.
same blue glow energy. It was morphine all around the building. But now
Mm,
after hearing you speak, I believe it was my guides
yes.
trying to get my attention, which when you're in
Yeah.
deep despair. So thank you for clarifying that, because I've always known it was a divine sign.
Oh my gosh,
Since
yes.
we were talking about auras, I'm like, because it had its own energy. It was magical and beautiful. And again, that's three times in my life over the last 30 years
Yeah.
that it's happened. Twice
Yeah.
with the building, once with a person. The person aura I understood, but the two
Yeah.
building ones, I'm like, I now I truly
Right.
believe, and you just validated that it was my divine support team going, hello, we're trying to get your attention.
Absolutely. And the helpful spirit of the building, the helpful spirit of, a place where someone is practicing child psychology. I have a belief, it's sort of Taoist in nature, that everything is alive. And so, yeah, the building, her guides, your guides, everybody
Yeah.
conspired to get your attention, you
It was
know?
it was a beautiful moment, and the funny part is I stayed with her for 3 years, healed,
Aw,
created all my businesses since then. But I did,
yeah.
before we go to break, I'll wrap up that story with this. I just reached out to her 7 months ago, so 30 years later. Now,
Wow.
yeah, I was married back then, so when I scheduled the new appointment, she didn't recognize my name, which I was hoping she wouldn't. And when we got on Zoom, she started crying and I started,
Oh,
she remembered me.
of course she
How,
did.
and she goes, how can I help you? I said, oh no, I just wanted to book an appointment because I don't know if I ever thanked you,
Yeah,
all
it
you
changed
did.
your life.
Yeah. And so thank you for, clarifying that. We're going to take our first break, Amy, and I want to invite everyone to visit Amy at amyleemercree.com. All the details are in the show notes, and we'll be back in a moment, my friends.
Inspiration for a Woman's Soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire Magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations, and I am with the one and only Amy Leigh Mercree. And today we're talking about her newest book, Aura Alchemy. So, right before you explain what auras are, and one of the things that I've learned about myself, I call it my energy. I might not use the word aura, but just like anything, you can get dirty, right? Hazy, foggy. That's how I feel in my own energy field. So
Mhm.
how can we cleanse, optimize, and protect our aura?
That's a great question, and really a wonderful question to ask when we're, making a choice to live consciously too, because our inner being, the state of our energy, our internal state is kind of like our human projector that projects out into our external world and creates our reality through our thoughts, feelings, gratitude, appreciation, etc. And so the lens through which our human projector projects is our aura. So if it's cloudy, foggy, hazy, etc., that can be detrimental. And also, conversely, if we charge it up to a high frequency, it can exponentialize our intentional and conscious living into, easy and fantastic manifestation. So, for the cleansing side of aura maintenance, many reasons to do it. Helps us feel good, helps our health be great, helps that lens so we can have a nice clean lens and create the life we desire, and much more. There's many, many ways. In Aura Alchemy, I take you through, really, I think about 13 different ways, certain meditations, etc. Some of those ways we talk about are sound cleansing and smoke cleansing. So I take you through all different kinds of fresh and dried herbs that you can use and burn to create a smoke and use those to clear the aura in a tangible way. Sometimes that can be really nice because we can really wrap our head around it. It's not as abstract as, a meditation or something. So, there's so many, I call them flammable botanicals. And in my book, The Healing Home, I take you through the same thing, all of the flammable botanicals and how to use them to clear the energy of the home. So it's kind of similar. When we clear our aura, we're intentionally clearing our aura and the energy that's sort of moving through the space of our body. And when we clear our home, we're clearing that and then the home around us, which is kind of our next layer out. So flammable botanicals are a great way. Another way is sound. So you could use, tingshas, which some people call yoga chimes, are really good for that. I have a didgeridoo. A D note didgeridoo is great for clearing the body and the home. You can typically get those on Etsy and stuff like that, made of wood. Um, you could use drums, rattles, like anything that makes sound, a bell. You can use your voice. You can make a tone. You can clap your hands. You can snap your fingers. You can say, clear, 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 anything you want to use sound and intentionally move any density out. And really, part of what it is just the intention. So, a good thing to say, as you clear your aura and even the energy of the home is only that which is of the light can be here. I'm infusing light in the space, I'm releasing density, things like that. The other thing I love to have us do is utilize the power of joy. I think of joy as the highest vibration in the known universe, and I use it a lot in my medical intuitive work. So, repeating the word joy like a mantra, feeling an energy of joy moving up and through the body and the aura. When we repeat the word joy over and over, we feel typically an upward energy. Should we try it with our listeners?
Of course.
Yeah, so let's try it. So, I'll say it, and you guys who are listening can be repeating it too. And we're just going to be saying the word joy, 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 and keep repeating it. Joy, 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 joy. And you feel white light energy, you feel this energy of joy coming up from underneath you. You're going to keep feeling it moving up, up, up. Joy, 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 all the way up through you, through the top of your aura. Joy, 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 joy. And you keep repeating it like a mantra. Sometimes you can even visualize it like a white sheet moving through. We have a full guided meditation in the book around that as well. But just repeating joy, focusing on joy, making it a mantra, feeling it move up and through you, it elevates your energy, it raises your frequency, and naturally cleans your aura.
I have to say, as you were doing it, I was visualizing. By the fourth time you repeated the word, I couldn't help but smile.
Me
It's like it
too. I was
it
over
was
here
so great.
smiling and feeling that coming up, up and through, like it got up to my knees before I started talking to you guys again, because it just happens when we repeat it.
Well, I think, and like words, numbers, they all have their own energy and frequency. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very conscious of the things
Yeah,
I say to myself.
me too.
Right? And joy, as you said, is one of the highest vibration words along with love.
Yes, exactly.
And I love
Yeah.
that. And one of the things you mentioned, sound. I usually take a lot of time off, like at Christmas and then in the summertime. So, my office is closed and I have a home office. The first thing I do when it's time to, step back into my work is I take it's like a little panda drum, the
I
steel
love
drum.
those.
Oh my God, I got my granddaughter one too. And I go through the whole office just because
Yes.
the energy's been stagnant. There's nothing
Yeah, it
that's
wakes it up.
moving. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just something intuitive. And I have beautiful spray that I've been using since I held my first women's event in 2009. I love this company. And it automatically brings me into the energy of my intentions. So everything that you said, the smoke cleansing, I finally had to stop doing that. I have very sensitive smoke detectors, and James was
I
like, "Babe, babe," and I would forget,
oh,
and I would let it keep burning, and it
I
would set
get
off
it.
everyone in the house.
I've done it. I
Yeah,
I
so
tend when I want to really do an extreme level of good smoke cleansing on the body, I actually do it outside.
well, I will do that next time
Yeah,
because we have
because
loft ceilings, and he couldn't get to the smoke detector to
yeah,
to
I
stop
have
it.
done all of that before. Yes.
And and so I'm assuming the aura is a major part in our manifesting our desires. How does it work in a manifestation process?
So, like I had mentioned, it's a lens, so it can amplify our manifestation process. And so I really take us through this in the book, and I take us through some really powerful manifestation processes in the book too. But when we think, we're using our thought to manifest. We're using thoughts of gratitude, appreciation, conscious intention, good feelings, and good feeling thoughts to manifest. So those are all of that is generated by the movement of photons. The thought and thinking, everything that happens in the body, but especially in the brain, is simply the movement of that electrical energy through the medium of these neurons, the matter of the body. So as the thought, electrical impulses of thought are moving, I believe this is a lot of what I talk about in aura alchemy, these theories. They're charged with the flavor of these manifestations. So we can amplify that by focusing, by strengthening the thought, by repeating the thought, by building the frequency up in our being. I make recordings of affirmative statements. I love to play solfeggio frequencies. I create custom hypnosis for myself. I do a lot of things like that. And that fills my aura with the energy of the manifestations I desire. In Aura Alchemy, I also talk about some really in-depth things that I channeled and learned through shamanic journey, manifestation processes. One of those is called neutrino manifestation. And when I learned it a few years ago from some guides in a shamanic journey, it's been so powerful for me, so powerful for my clients. So to it's kind of complicated and scientific, but also shamanic, and that's like all my absolute favorite stuff to combine. But it is essentially using the flavor of these photons, the thoughts that we're generating, to really focus in on the manifestations we want, and then use our intention to consciously direct those photons as they come out into the aura, the sphere 3 feet out around us in all directions. They come into contact with not only other photons, but a lot of other things. The air, around the body is matter. It's in a gas state, so we don't see it. We don't feel it unless we like blow it, and we accelerate it. We accelerate it through like a wind or something like that. But it's there. And then there's also these really fun, quirky, quixotic, subatomic, or atomic particles, not even atomic, sorry, elementary particles called neutrinos. Neutrinos are a relative of electrons, kind of, but they're much smaller. They have very little mass. They are generated by our sun along with the photons. So to get an idea about neutrinos, you might have heard the word. There are 400 billion neutrinos per second from the sun moving through our physical body every second. So we are just bathed in a cacophony of neutrinos. Because they are so small, they have such a small quantity of mass, they don't really interact with other larger particles like protons, electrons, neutrons that just go through us. But they are there. So this whole process came to me in Shamanic Journey. I much more eloquently take you through it, including how to do it in the book. But we use the photons of our thought to make contact with neutrinos in our aura. And then what we do is we influence what's called their angular momentum, which is kind of like their spin. So it's the way that they're moving. So we take those neutrinos, we influence their angular momentum, we temporarily, for a quick little blip, bounce them out of this dimension into another dimension where they pick up heft, the ability to manifest. And then they bounce back in, flavored with our thought, our intention, our conscious intention via the photons. And then they are back in our dimension, deployed to go affect matter, energy, light, thought, time, space, and create our manifestations. So we can really kind of like tinker with quantum reality using thought and our aura.
I just love how you mix science and spirituality, my friend.
It's
Would-
like my absolute most fun thing.
I've known you for a long time, and I get that, my friend. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. We'll be back, my friends. I invite you to grab a copy of Amy's book, Aura Alchemy, and learn more about everything that she's doing in the world at amyleighmercree.com. We'll be back in a moment.
Are you ready to create and live the divinely guided life intended for you? A life not bound by your past or tied to a specific future. A life beyond your fears and what-ifs that is filled with limitless possibilities. Experiencing an empowered life of fulfillment, joy, and connection is possible when you embrace a spiritual, solutions-centered lifestyle. Through her transformational teachings and programs, Lisa Hermata, empowered life view guide, life transformation mentor, and founder of Love is the Seed, empowers women to break the barriers holding them back from living their sacred truth so they can find greater connection with their inner wisdom and their divine source to co-create a life that brings peace, joy, and self-acceptance. Visit loveistheseed.com for positive guidance and valuable resources to support you in embracing an empowered life view.
You're listening to Inspired Conversations. So happy that you're circling up for this transformational conversation. And as you were speaking and sharing the science behind the manifesting with our aura, I was thinking about life, right? Because life gets lifey. So like when I envision an aura, I'm always trying to be conscious of what I'm bringing into that field. Because I think of it as like, like lint.
Mm-hmm.
You wear this beautiful black wool coat or something, and next thing you know, you
Yes.
put this lint all over it. Well, I kind of think of the aura that way. Every time I have a fearful thought, it's putting lint in my aura. Or if I
Mm-hmm.
take in, I want to say negative media
Yes.
or shows, I feel like
Agreed.
it's leaving stuff behind in my aura.
I
Is
love
that,
that.
does it happen like that though? Is it
Yes.
taking, okay, because
I
that's what
love that
was in my
analogy.
vision.
I love that analogy. It's fantastic. Absolutely.
So
And
that's why
there
it's
have,
important to clear it all the time, because we're
yes,
unconsciously picking it up. It could be a tense conversation with someone.
yes,
Okay, that's how I
absolutely.
feel.
And just to sort of adjacently scientifically corroborate that, there have been multiple studies that have proven that 30 minutes of exposure to violent or disturbing media depresses the immune system for up to 30 days.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And,
Which
and
I
think of-
personally don't like that stuff anyway, but also like, don't do it to your body
yeah, and
or
when
your aura.
oh yeah, or your aura is right. Yeah, because I'm very conscious. Like I've changed my life so much over the last 30 years as I got on this path, and I'm just conscious of everything I take in. And it's made the difference not only in my joy and happiness, but also in everything I've been able to call in my life. My beautiful
It's the
relationship with my honey,
yeah.
all of it. And I really believe it's what you pull in is what you also receive.
It is,
Like
and
it's
it's the
like because you're matching it.
definition. Yeah, it's the definition of conscious living too, what you're saying.
Well, that's so funny they said that because, like, I think it was gonna be 9 years, which we were talking about off air. I just thought of that too.
Mm,
9 years ago, I said, "You know what? I don't just want a business. I want an intentional business. I want an
yes.
intentional life, and I want an intentional home." And those are the 3
Mhm.
hashtags I use quite often. And so I started making conscious decisions, and as I was
Yes.
talking to Amy off air, I just entered my 9th year in my numerology cycle, and I am looking at, okay, is there anything ready to be released for the next level of transformation? Sometimes that's scary to ask, ladies, but it's a knowing inside of, I want to live an intentional, conscious life. Because sometimes, as you know, Amy, life starts picking up speed. We get on the train and we go, how did I get here? Because we're on autopilot and I don't want to be there. I
Mhm.
wanna make sure I'm living consciously. I just turned 62, so these are, important years for me coming up.
Mhm.
And one of the other things too is you shared about sound and smoke cleansing, and is there like a recommendation? Is it daily, monthly, weekly? Is it something that you just intuitively know, or you should have a schedule to practice cleansing and protection practices for our aura?
Question. I mean, I think it's subjective. It depends on the person. Um, I kind of think it's nice to do a little sound cleanse because it's not smoke detectory,
Yes.
every day or two. I did personally because, I see medical intuitive clients, I always do it after that too. But it's nice to clear your field and clear the home periodically. I think it depends on probably your personality. Like if you're somebody who just naturally cleans the house all the time, then you could just naturally clean the energy of the house and the energy of the aura at that time. Now, if you're somebody like me who's a little ADHD, who, if you're not careful, stuff gets everywhere, then you might, when you schedule or decide, okay, I'm going to have, every 2 Thursdays, I'm going to do an overhaul where I really clean up the house. Maybe that's when you do your sound cleansing of the house too. Same kind of thing for the aura. When you brush your teeth, you could repeat joy, 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 joy in your mind. You could make it like something that triggers you to do it a couple times a day, like that. I've been known to post a list of affirmative statements on the bathroom mirror and read them while I'm, brushing my teeth, say them out loud if I'm like washing my face or doing whatever I'm doing in there. So I think and that those acts, even the saying of affirmative statements, whether it's in just in your mind or out loud, infuse your aura with intentional energy as well. So I think it depends on what works for your life, your body, and your constitution. But I think a nice rule of thumb would be once a week would be a good frequency if you wanted to pick one, a minimum of once a week. I tend, like, if I go to the airport, for example, anywhere where there's crowds, especially if like people are stressed out, like in an airport, I also seal up my energy field, and I can take us all through that the way I do that if you'd like to.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be very helpful in these times.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. So this is adapted from something I learned from my late medicine teacher. And it's her name was Lori. We can do it call and response. So I'll say it, you guys repeat it after me. And it's a way that we seal up our field, our aura, allowing in all that is for our highest good, but just screening out, not taking in that which isn't. So I say this in my mind as I'm walking into the airport. If I'm tired or, feel so moved, maybe as I'm walking into the grocery store, whatever. Also, if I feel like nervous, like I don't know, I'm walking in a dark parking lot or something, you know what I mean? Like I sometimes say it for that too. So you can repeat after me. I seal and protect
I feel and protect
all wormholes,
all wormholes,
portals,
portals,
doorways,
doorways,
and openings
and openings
in my physical
in my physical
and etheric bodies,
and etheric bodies
uh-huh, in all dimensions
in all dimensions
and interdimensions
and interdimensions
and all realities
in all realities
as needed
as needed
for my highest good.
for my highest good.
It is done.
It is done.
So you might, visualize that like a little swirl coming down around your aura, just sealing it up, just as needed. How did that feel when you said it?
Well, I was gonna say it felt like I was getting a warm hug. That's what
Yeah.
it felt like energetically.
Mhm.
And one of the things I do, like I walk through the woods. We have conservation land that abuts our land, and you're a woman in the middle of the woods, right,
Yes.
walking the trail.
Yep.
So I walk going, only love can see me now.
Yes.
That way,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
So,
I love that.
oh yeah, and I kind of boogie down the path because I don't want to walk with fear
Same.
but I want to enjoy my walk and be present. And
Yeah.
how can you feel fearful when you're like singing, like I'm singing that song as I walk?
Exactly.
And so
I
I
love
love
that.
that because I could feel the energy. And I'm funny about big places like that too. It's like feel
Yeah.
like I'm picking up all the lint from everyone that's
Yes.
energetically puking all over the place.
Yes, exactly. And,
And
when you're sensitive, I think I'm a highly sensitive person. I wouldn't be surprised if you are too, and a
oh,
lot
I'm
of our
intuitive and
listeners.
an empath. And
Yeah.
the one thing I can say for me that's different now than 30 years ago is I describe it like this. For those years, I was like a weeping willow tree. Anything
Mm.
going on outside me, family discord, world discord,
Mhm.
I would absorb it all and I would be blowing around energetically, couldn't find my
Mhm.
grounding, my own truth, like a
Mhm.
weeping willow. Now,
Yes.
about 10 years ago, in a really tumultuous time in our family,
Mhm.
I was a witness and could hold space for everyone, but I felt like an oak tree, very grounded. And
Mm.
that's how I've been navigating life since, more as the witness and not getting pulled in. Now,
Yes.
listen, I'm human. It happens. It happens, but I can recalibrate very quickly now, where back
Yes.
then it could take me weeks or months to recover from
Mm.
the energies of a situation. Now I can see it, witness it, sometimes spin, depending on what it is. But then I go, Linda, this isn't the truth of who you are, and I'm back.
I love that, Linda.
It's
I
one of
love
my
it.
most powerful. We're gonna take we could keep going, girl. We're gonna take our
I
last
know.
break and come back for a final 12-minute segment. And you ladies gotta get on over to amyleemccree.com. Check out all her best-selling books, not only Aura Alchemy, check out the Chakras in Crystal's Cookbook, The Healing Home, as well as her Blissful Baths, 40 Rituals for Self-Care and Relaxation. We'll be back in a moment, my friends.
Your truest, deepest desires are calling you. The question is, will you answer the call? Former high-tech Fortune 500 leader Sharon Seberg knows how it feels to wear busyness as a badge of honor and to smother her dreams with the expectations of others. Walking away from her successful yet unfulfilling career, she chose to live a life connected to her intuitive wisdom and divine truth, and now lives a life of fulfillment, peace, and abundance. Today, Sharon is a neurotransformational coach, feminine power facilitator, and the visionary founder of the Soul Alignment Formula. She empathetically fuses cutting-edge neuroscience with intuitive coaching, supporting successful women to unlock their full potential so they can live a life of authenticity and freedom. Are you ready to excavate your deepest desires and bring them to life? Start by visiting SharonSeberg.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. With me is the one and only Amy Leigh Mercree. So right before that last break, we were talking about, protecting our aura, especially for those of us who identify as either empaths, intuitives, highly sensitives. It's been one of the biggest gifts I've given myself, but I also have a grandson that's 24, a Cancer, highly sensitive, and a granddaughter who is a little spitfire and very intuitive and calls you on your shit, I'll tell you. And oh yeah, she's gonna be 13, Amy, and I think her collection of four-leaf clovers is in the 40s now.
Oh,
And
amazing.
Nikki laminates them and puts them in a book with the date. And when she was about 8,
Aw,
when she was 8, she found one for Papa, and then
wow.
her little heart was like, "Oh, Amma, I have to go find you one." And she ran back
Oh,
outside. And I wanted to say to her, because I'm like the adult, right? I wanted to go,
right.
"Well, honey, I didn't say this, but I wanted to say, honey, it's going to be hard to find another four-leaf clover." And that was
Oh,
coming from my story of never finding a four-leaf clover.
right.
Well, she just walked outside. I saw her bend over. She ran a hand over the grass. She comes running in the house, and I couldn't
Wow.
believe it. So my energy was like, "How the hell she keeps doing this?" So I said,
Don't you love how children are our teachers?
well, her wisdom blew me away. I said, "McKenna, Amma," at that time I was in my 50s. I said, "Amma has never found a four-leaf clover. Will you tell me a trick?"
Yeah.
Amy, I wish you could see the puzzlement on her face, because she looked at me and she said, "I just asked them where they are."
Right.
I was
It's
I
belief too, you know?
Yeah, I was like, "What?" And
Oh,
so
wow.
I remember that. Her essence knows,
Yes.
ask for what you want, ask for what
Right.
you need, and the divine is gonna support you.
Right.
Um, I just love that I want to teach her and my grandson these practices of cleansing and taking care of their aura, how to energetically ground, because I think it's the missing tools for the children growing up.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's so important. So
I
the work you're
agree.
doing, I know, is having such a ripple effect on so many lives, so many families, because we read your book, pass the wisdom down to those we love.
Mm. Likewise, all the work you've done for 30 years, sharing all your gifts and these, intentional practices and bringing the wisdom of probably hundreds, if not thousands of women to others is fantastic and such a huge contribution too, Linda.
Well, it's so important to me. That's why I love having you on my show. You've been in the magazine, and been sharing your wisdom in front of my audience in multiple ways for years. And the reason it's important to me, I love shining a spotlight on transformational and spiritual teachers like you, because I feel blessed to have this media platform. And I chose many years ago, because Aspire is going to enter her 19th year. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Wow.
19 years in February, and this show will be
Wow.
9 years old. And I
Wow.
remember saying, why? Why is this all happening? Why are people embracing Aspire? And I heard, use it for good.
Yeah.
And I only support empowering, supportive, inspirational, transformational women messengers, because I believe when we elevate the voice of one, we can magnify the message to help so many more. So I find great joy to tie that together
Mm.
in this conversation and everything we do. And I'm so grateful that you were able to join me today. So is there any other, we still got about 5 minutes, Amy, is there any other resource, thought, practice, or any piece of information you want to share with our listeners?
Well, that's a good question.
Mm.
We have all kinds of things as far as my amazing team and the way we've kind of structured our digital side. So on my website, if you get Aura Alchemy, you can get 16 book bonuses. and you'll see it's like a banner at the top of the page. So you can click in there and get all these bonuses because you bought Aura Alchemy, including a bonus from our mutual friend Shariana Boyle, Aspire magazine friend Shannon Kaiser, a lot of my author friends, some gifts from me, including and what I call an atomic healing audio, which is a audio I created specifically for you to open and access your intuition. And so it takes you through a state of deepening and opening state. And then we actually harness the subatomic particles in the body and the aura to open your intuition and to create that state and receptivity. So I love sharing that. And right now, the only place you can get that is those book bonuses. And that's one of 16. So we've got, I think there's 3 from me and then 13 from a bunch of other authors. We have a ton of great stuff.
I got to tell you, I'm looking at them now. You have Emma Milden's
Yes.
Child Mini Meditation.
Emma's the
Timmy.
best.
Yeah, Timmy Mastroberde, Higher
Yes.
Help 9/11 Directory. Oh,
Yes.
this is fun. Angel
It's all
number.
kinds of good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone, I want you to go to amyleighmercree.com/aura-alchemy. I am looking, these are,
Aren't
you
they
got
fun?
a beautiful bundle. On top of that, you
Yeah.
get an extraordinary transformational book with all these practices and resources. And listen, ladies, now more than ever, we got to take care of our energetic and spiritual hygiene too. I just had a conversation with my private community. I'm like, listen, you can't just take care of your physical body. Are you practicing spiritual and emotional hygiene? And they were all like, I have never heard of that before. And I'm like, think about it. It's everything we just talked about, but we have to have practices so that we can be our highest and best self. So that's the only way we can be the light in the world.
Sure
And for me,
is.
it's such an important part.
It's crucial because our job really is to feel great all the time. And if we're all gunked up, that's harder to do. So instead, if we take conscious ownership of our energy and the management of our being, then we can move into that and then we can share more.
I love that. What I like to tell my clients, I said, you have an inner light inside. And if you are not doing the inner work, whether energetically, spiritually, and physically, to keep that flame lit, you'll just continue to get muck and everything that dims that
Yes.
light. And we can't change the world if we can't monitor our own energy fields, essence, that then we can't be of full service to our family, our community, and the bigger world. And so to me, my number one responsibility is my light.
I agree.
Amy, we could keep going, girl.
We sure could. We sure could.
I want to say thank you, Amy, for joining me, and I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Linda. I'm so grateful to know you and that we've gotten to be friends and colleagues for so many years, and to know your Aspire audience and your audience for all of your incredible projects, including this one. I'm just really grateful and happy to know you.
Thank you, my friend. And my beautiful circle of listeners, until next time, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness, my friends. Blessings.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.